Hello everyone, my name is Rodrigo Martinez and I'm gonna tell you a little about the political forces. As a current strength, we can talk about the financial programs of the province, which are composed of two main programs. First, the BC, which provides up to $100,000 in funds for up to 2 years for development of regional or community projects on a smaller scale to investigate, explore, test, and share the result among the beekeeping community to generate better management, control, and practices associated with the welfare of bees. And the second option is the recently announced programs to the creation of the Bee Technology Transfer Fund with $525,000 of the next 3 years in support of beekeepers in the area through educational programs, applied research, and other services. As a second strength, we can mention the provincial institutions and initiatives. The province of BC developed a set of measures such as a creation of newsletter, surveys, and statistics guides to select forage plants for bees, among others. Additionally, there is an association that groups honey producers in the province called British Columbia Honey Producers Association, BCHPA, which represents beekeepers in the area before the provincial and the federal government. Now, as the current challenges, we can mention the possible governmental restriction due to the COVID-19. New restrictions that, to protect the population, may limit and affect the normal functioning of the beekeepers industry again. And definitely related to the latter is a possible governmental mandatory lockdown based on the new variant of the COVID-19 virus. If the new variant spreads in the country, it could hit the sector again, limiting the access of qualified personnel to the country. Now, as a future prospect, we have government investment in the field. It would be essential to create a program by the government that injects capital to promote this critical area. This would mean more funds for the company to develop more and new projects. And as a second, the possibility of tax relief in the future, which as a result could benefit the competitiveness of the industry. Finally, as a future risk, we have possible change of provincial authorities. A change of local authority could bring deeply changes in current policies and harm the current benefits and future measures that are considered for the industry. And also, we have international agreements affected by COVID-19, which in consideration of a new wave of infections worldwide by a new variant of the virus could harm the commercial relations established in these agreements. Now, we are talking about economic forces.
My name is Juliana, and I'm going to talk a little bit about economic forces. When it comes to current strengths, we need to talk about pollination and honey as an ingredient. Pollination is basically taking the bees to the farms to help the pollination of different products. Just last year, the beekeeping industry was responsible for $2.57 billion for Havara's contribution in different products, and on canola seeds it had a range of $4 to $5.5 billion. And also we have a program of the government called Honey as an Ingredient, which has 1.200 in the products, different products, that has honey as a raw material. And this is a great opportunity for beekeepers in entire Canada. With the current challenge, we need to talk about COVID-19 because it affected the industry economically. But not only that, the beekeeping industry needs seasonal workers coming from other countries. And with the borders closed, they weren't able to come. So there was a lack of production because of the lack of people working. Another point that was very effective in this industry was the transportation, not only inside Canada because there weren't employees enough to do the transportation, but also the exportation. With the borders closed, it was so much harder to do so. And also, to add to all that, we had a wet and cold spring, which affected the flight of the bees resulting in smaller colonies and less production of the honey. To future perspectives, we have pollination, we have growth of economy after the pandemic, we have honey as an ingredient program. As risk, of course, COVID-19 and the climate, which are very unstable things. Now we're going to talk about social forces.
Hello, my name is Stephanie and I will present the social forces. Social factors includes elements such as cultures, people's beliefs, consumer habits, interests, and also preferences. First, I will introduce the current strengths. Caspian Empire have created trustful relationship with their customer, especially the main ones, which are the beekeepers and the farmers they work for. Additionally, they have delivered the diversity of seminars to the community in order for them to understand the relevance of the industry, but also the importance of the products they deliver. They don't have one, but they have plenty different kinds of products which can meet with the customers' interests and necessities. The current challenges, according to the social forces, are first, the customer education. There is still a lot of work to do in order for the customers to understand what is the relevance and the benefits of the beekeeping industry and their products. There is also a challenge according to the product preference. Some products as honey had a lot of option in market, and sometimes purchase decision is made based on the price and not the quality of the product. Another challenge that this company has is the lack of promotion. Caspian Aspire has a lot of products and they are only producing and distributor of several of them, but the customers are not aware of their existence. Future perspective. First, the coronavirus pandemic, customers started looking for products to improve their immune system. These trends represent a huge market opportunity for the analyzed industry. Second, the use of digital media for commercial purposes that has an additional relevance nowadays. Caspian buyers can increase the company's profit by aggressively entering the digital media with the promotions and also by selling platforms. Finally, future risk. The increment of new competitors from different parts of the globe represents a future risk for the industry and for the company specifically by increasing the number of high-quality products that can meet customer interests and also the preferences.
I am Cristel and I'm going to talk about technological forces. In the beekeeping industry, science and technology have tried to introduce innovations that help the sector save bee stock and look for alternatives to increase and improve the pollination of plants. Moving on to current strengths, innovative activities have been developed, such as the production of chromosomes, bee venom, and apitherapy in a scientific view. Other beekeepers in Canada use the Caspian apiaries methods, such as the bee venom collector and mobile hives. Also, the research and development activity is a current strength of the company. About the current challenges, the most important challenge in this moment is the conservation of bees population. Many keepers lost their hives since the colony collapse disorder, or CCD. The causes of death of bees can be by different natures, environmental causes, and the use of agricultural pesticides. And also that take advantage of new tech hives is a current challenges, such as the Langstroth hive, Dadan hive, Oxman hive, or Lion's hive. In the research of this project, we found some future prospects, such as the Robo Bee hive, that is an artificial hive that houses a bunch of small drones. Another one is the Bee Home. It is an automatic beehive that might save the global bee population, and also the applications to record the bee behavior, such as ARNIA. Moving on to future risks, Caspian appears will face with the development of pesticides technologies. It is inevitable that neighborhood crops do not use pesticides to combat larvae or parasites, so bees will constantly be exposed.
Hello, this is Stephanie again to introduce the environmental forces. These forces are related with all the ecological factors and also the ecosystem. Let's start with the current strengths. Industry knowledge. The company has over 189 years of experience working in developing the best beekeeping practices in different environmental conditions, which gives them a competitive advantage compared to the competences. Scientific research. They invested plenty time and resources to provide scientific research that helps experimented and young beekeepers ensure the health and proper conditions for bees to survive in different water and natural conditions. And the last one is the bees habitat. Bees at Caspian fires are raised in their natural environment. They are avoiding the use of chemicals, which provide an eco-friendly habitat and a final organic products. The current environmental challenges are: first, bee diseases. Bees are exposed frequently to different natural threats. Some examples are bacteria and fungus. The medicament is not always available for governmental regulations or accurate to heal the insects properly. A mishandled disease spreads so fast to an entire community and can destroy bees from an entire area. Another challenge is the natural conditions. Bees need specific requirements to live and to reproduce. Countries where Caspian fires are stated, like Canada, for example, have low temperatures and cannot always ensure the proper conditions for the bees. Another challenge is the use of chemicals. The use of toxic substances such as pesticides affects the environment and also affects the life of the bees. And the last one is the bees' weight and feeding conditions. Ensuring a healthy bees' weight is essential to keep them alive and to have quality products. Environment plays a vital role to ensure the weight conditions and by having appropriate feeding options. Finally, the future perspectives and risk. The first perspective is the industry relevance. The beekeeping industry is essential to ensure food supplies. Even though the company's owner currently does not perceive the necessary support from the government institutions, the industry has significant bargaining power that can be used in favor of the whole sector. Another perspective for the future is the young empire strain. And also, when we talk about the risk, first is the loss of the bees population to the pesticides, poor nutrition conditions, air pollution as well, and the water. And the other risk is the climate, which is challenging beekeepers to adapt to the different conditions.
Hi, I'm Rodrigo again, and I'm gonna talk about the legal forces. Now, as a current strength and challenges, first, as a strength, we have the sporting laws. These current laws support many of these free trade agreements enforce that the country has with different governments and continents of the world, which has kept the commercial horizon in the beekeepers area wide. In the other hand, as the challenges, we have a health and safety law. Changes in current laws and regulation could bring consequences in the industry, since if they are increased, it could mean an increase in production costs. Many companies could leave the activity and probably lose the market. As another challenge is the foreign worker policy. Given that the qualified labor force for the field is low or almost nil in Canada, it will be an important challenge that an industry they make more solid proposals to the government to include this type of profession in the list of relevant disciplines for the growth of the country's economies. And in this way, an immigration program can be created to facilitate the entry into the country of specialized professionals. To continue, as a future prospect and risk, first, as a prospect, we have new international trade agreements. Although Canada already has several trade agreements, the legislative change in favor of the creation of new agreements could help beekeepers to explore new markets and products and thus contribute to the economic development of the country. And to conclude this force, as a risk, we have tax policy changes. The significant increase in the consumption of natural products by the population could be a reason for the government to focus in its interests on this type of products, and to collect more taxes, it can legislate in favor of increases in the tax structure, harming so the industry. And finally, as another risk, we have the labor laws. A change that increase the labor legislation could imply an increase in cost, directly impacting the company's income.